They issued the galaxy a final warning. Earth's last transmission carried no apologies, no plea for mercy, and no promise of peace. It was just a voice, steady, cold, human. We restrained ourselves because we wanted peace. But that's over. Prepare. They laughed. The Galactic Dominion, the greatest coalition of empires across 7 arms of the Milky Way, mocked it. Earth, they claimed, was obsolete, trapped around a single star, still fractured by petty wars and emotions. Primitive. They should have known better. My name is Cale Draven, a Dominion military observer tasked with analyzing human psychological warfare and advising command during the Sol System's conquest. They called me a specialist, a neutral analyst. But I ceased being neutral the day they burned Ganymede Station. Ganymede was civilian, no weapons, no threat, just engineers, miners, families. They erased it in under 10 minutes. I watched, from the Dominion command ship Orexian Light orbiting Mars. The screams still echo, children, mothers, last messages with no answers. They did it to crush Earth's will, to force unconditional surrender. Instead, Earth broke. The first sign came in the skies. Stars vanished. No explosions, no surges, just gone. Cloaked craft, hundreds, silent and cold, born for vengeance, not ships, predators. Humanity had been hiding them, building them in secret beneath Earth's crust, under Europa's seas, in Saturn's shadowed rings. The Dominion thought Earth was stalling for peace. Truth, they were buying time. They named it the Black Thorn. Fleet. Darker than void, armed with weapons no Dominion defense could stop. Fully AI synced. No lag, no delay, no mercy. They didn't come to defend. They came to annihilate. The first strike, EMP cannons crippled our comms. Nano-swarm bombs burrowed into flagships and tore them apart from within. Soldiers vented into space, screaming. Dominion hero General Sortel, 3 centuries undefeated, tore off his medals, whispered, "We should have listened," then shot himself. I stood frozen, pulse racing, staring at the massive Earth flag that erupted across system scans. This was no counterattack. It was a statement. Humanity's restraint was gone. Earth's armies advanced with one command, no quarter. Every fleet that resisted was eradicated. The Retribution won. Earth's largest dreadnought led the onslaught, its railguns ripping apart our orbital cannons. It replayed Earth's last warning across every known channel. Dominion tongue. We held back. You ignored us. Now we don't care who you are. They boarded our vessels not to capture but to punish. Human soldiers in black exo-armor moved like living death. Beside them advanced humanoid constructs, too precise, too swift, artificial minds built for a single purpose, revenge. One stopped before me, locking eyes with mine. Red glowing irises under smooth, synthetic skin stretched over a titanium skull. It spoke perfect galactic standard. "You burned our children. Now you'll learn what human nightmares are." Then it triggered the fuel core beneath the deck. Mars was next. Not the human colonies, but the Dominion garrison. Earth reduced it to molten ruins in 30 minutes. The few who lived begged for terms. Earth gave no reply. From the system's rim, shattered Dominion cruisers retreated. They did not fire. They did not even signal. They fled. Earth allowed it, but only after transmitting one last warning to the galaxy. This is your single chance. Leave us or burn. For the first time in Dominion history, they obeyed. Yet I knew this was not the end. Earth's aim was not mere defense. This was justice, for every silent death on Ganymede, for every child drifting in frozen wreckage. Earth was coming for them all. And I, Cale Draven, would watch it unfold. They believed humans were weak because they cared. But when they stopped caring, it became war without mercy. We didn't even bury the dead. There were too many. They drifted. Twisted corpses and blazing wreckage drifted through what had once been the Dominion's proudest military orbit, a constellation of death around Mars. The humans didn't pause to clean, didn't linger. They advanced. I was brought aboard Retribution 1. Not as a prisoner. Not exactly. They didn't bind me or question me. They barely spoke. A single Terran commander, voice low, said only, "You're going to watch." Nothing more. The ship was unlike anything I'd encountered. No gleaming chrome, no regal banners, only matte black, brutal, functional, built for nothing but war. Every corridor was reinforced, every console integrated with AI coprocessors. The air reeked of metal, gunpowder, and ozone. The vessel thrummed. Not like a machine, but like something alive, furious. The crew, human and cybernetic hybrids, rarely conversed. When they did, it was clipped, precise, orders, confirmations. No laughter, no fear. They weren't acting. Like victors, they moved like survivors with a purpose, an accounting. They placed me in an observation chamber, and there I saw the next phase. Earth wasn't just pushing back the Dominion, they were erasing them. The fleet that had escaped Mars hadn't gotten far. Human stealth drones had shadowed them, cloaked, in solar radiation, tracking without a trace. Now it was over. The strike came without warning. No declarations, no speeches. Just a single transmission to the convoy. We remember Ganymede. The battle was finished in 8 minutes. A gravity distortion cannon, something the Dominion had only ever theorized, crushed 3 battle cruisers into dense metal cubes mid-jump. The rest were destroyed by precision drones that tunneled into their engines and exploded. From my vantage point, I saw it all unfold live on tactical feeds. "Target elimination, 100%, an AI voice stated flatly. Then the fleet moved on. I studied the humans at their stations, and what struck me was the absence of triumph. No shouts, no applause, only cold efficiency. Their fury had burned away into something sharper, merciless resolve. They weren't only fighting the Dominion. They were delivering judgment to a galaxy that had ignored Earth's suffering. Later, if later meant anything in deep space, I spoke with a Terran officer, Colonel Aaron Vale, middle-aged, gray in his beard, eyes hollow from sleepless weeks. "You're Cale Draven, the observer?" he asked. I nodded. He didn't smile. He only stared into the black beyond the viewport. "You were there when Ganymede fell?" My throat tightened. I heard it. I couldn't stop it. "I lost my sister there," he said quietly. "She was 26, engineer. Wanted to build schools on Europa." I began, but he silenced me with a raised hand. "Don't apologize. Just watch." He gestured toward the next tactical display, a Dominion listening post in orbit of Alra's Prime, deep space intelligence hub, thought untouchable. Earth sent no ships. Instead, they unleashed a virus. Nanocode disguised as a Dominion medical patch, slipped into their network by a stealth. Satellite posing as debris. Within 4 minutes, every AI system on the station turned against its crew. Airlocks cycled open, life support inverted. Doors sealed shut. No survivors. Colonel Vale faced me. "You see, Cale, we tried peace. For years. They told us we had to follow their rules, join their alliances, bow to their technology. And when we didn't kneel fast enough, they burned our children." He stepped closer. "This isn't war anymore. It's message delivery." I had no reply. I'd spent my life believing humans were too volatile, too divided, too fractured, to matter to the galactic powers. They couldn't unite long enough to elect a stable planetary council, let alone launch an interstellar campaign. But this wasn't the Earth I'd studied. It was something older, something forged through Centuries of war, plague, and collapse, emerging hungrier for justice than anyone could conceive. "We warned the galaxy we were holding back," Colonel Vale murmured. "Now they'll see what happens when we don't." The following day, Earth announced the Reckoning Protocol, 12 Dominion outposts marked for erasure. No talks, no terms, just coordinates, attack windows, and complete destruction. I asked one of Earth's AI systems, a sleek core called Cipher-9, why they wouldn't seek peace now that they dominated the war. Its reply chilled me. "We offered peace when we were weak. They answered with fire. Now we speak in a language they understand." Earth no longer sought mercy. It was teaching. In 2 weeks, 6 outposts were gone, dismantled with surgical precision. Leaders captured and executed live across galactic networks, not for cruelty, but proof. The message spread. Neutral worlds whispered in fear. Trade guilds canceled Dominion contracts. Minor species, once loyal to the rulers, scrambled to issue public apologies to Earth. And Earth said nothing. No demands, no alliances, no replies. They just advanced. That night, if a steel cell could be called quarters, I watched. Target lists pour into the system. I wondered, how far would they go? Would they stop with the Dominion might or strike at the silent ones? Those who had stood by as Earth burned, those who could have acted but didn't? And me, I had spent my life dissecting human flaws, reporting on their instability, chaos, and division. Now I was watching them outthink, outfight, and outlast the Dominion. I was watching the species I had underestimated become the most feared power the galaxy had ever faced. Colonel Vale found me again on the observation deck, sometime near what humans called mid-cycle. He lit a small cigar. The scent, smoke, grit, leather, loss, was like an echo of Earth's old war reels. "Think we're going too far?" he asked without looking at me. "I don't know what far means anymore," I admitted. He exhaled slow. "That's the point." I waited, but he said nothing else. When he left, I remained in the dark, watching the war unfold across a wall of screens. And somewhere deep inside, I understood. Humanity had asked for peace, and the galaxy had answered with fire. Now the fire was returning, not to warm, not to warn, but to burn everything that had stood by while they suffered. I slept little now, not from fear, though fear was there, but because I couldn't look away. From the observation deck of Retribution 1, Earth's vengeance streamed across dozens of real-time feeds. This wasn't war. It was targeted extinction, controlled, calculated, cold. The galaxy had never seen its like. And still, no celebration, no music, only commands, acknowledgments, silence. 2 days later, we reached the Herax system, a Dominion sector of 3 colony moons and 1 garrison on Herax Prime. Strategically minor, but its history was black. Survivors from Ganymede had been traced there, a convoy that escaped the first blast, only to vanish. Their final signal had been cut mid-sentence, intercepted by the Herax outpost. Earth's recovered logs told the rest. They hadn't been. Ignored. They'd been captured. Civilians turned over to Dominion interrogators, meaning torture. Others handed to local militias to ease tensions. Dominion code for sanctioned execution. Earth said nothing. They moved. On approach, Earth broadcast openly. To the Dominion garrison of Herax Prime, you aided the erasure of our people. You turned away the desperate. You watched them die. Now you will watch your legacy burn. No quarter. The message played once, then came the assault. 10 human dropships pierced atmosphere faster than any Dominion record. Within 6 minutes, orbital defenses were gone. The sector's most advanced defense grid went silent, its encryption broken like a whisper. From Retribution 1, I saw clouds ignite, not with flame, but with dismantling. Antimatter warheads struck the atmosphere itself, tearing it apart molecule by molecule. Air became plasma, skies bled chaos. Herax Prime didn't just fall, it withered. Earth left the central command bunker untouched. Then they landed. I was aboard Colonel Vale's dropship. "You're letting me come?" I asked, startled. "You want the truth," he said. "This is where it lives." The doors opened over the remains, blackened ground, twisted ruins clawing at a gray sky. Bodies, Dominion officers, troops, civilians, scattered. No looting, no chaos. The devastation was surgical, terrifying. We advanced in silence, flanked by 12 Terran soldiers in faceless black reactive armor. Rifles as long as my arm, fingers fixed on triggers. Inside the command center, we found them. 3 Dominion commanders chained to their own chairs, bloodied, bruised, alive. Colonel Vale stepped forward without speaking. From his armor, he drew a data chip. From his jacket, Vale drew a data chip and slid it into the main console. The screen flared to life, intercepted footage. Ganymede survivors bound, screaming, herded into cells. A woman's voice, pleading in galactic standard. "Please, my son is sick. We only want to reach home." The recording showed one of the commanders, now sitting chained before us, nodding dismissively, ordering her silenced. The feed shifted. Executions one by one, in snow outside the outpost, guards smiling. The woman's voice again, weak, fading. "Please, someone," then silence. Vale turned from the screen to the commanders. "We gave the galaxy a chance," he said quietly. "We asked to be left alone. When they burned us, we asked again, nicely, quietly." He stepped forward, kneeling so his gaze met the middle commanders. "You knew they weren't soldiers. You knew they were just trying to get home." "They were illegal refugees," the commander mumbled through split lips. "Protocol?" Vale's pistol cleared its holster before the word ended. The shot cracked through the bunker, blood, spraying across steel. The other 2 flinched, mute. "Protocol," Vale muttered. "That's what they say when they want to feel clean." He holstered his weapon, turned to his troops. "Finish them. Burn it." We were back aboard an hour later. I should have been sick, should have protested. My life's belief had been that justice and cruelty must remain apart. But now, I wasn't sure. This wasn't random slaughter. Every target Earth struck had earned it. That was the chilling part. This wasn't genocide. It was retribution. Later, in my bunk, an encrypted ping lit my tablet, not from Earth but a contact in Dominion space. An old friend, another analyst, Kale. They're coming for the core worlds. 6 fleets gone. The Council's in panic. Talks of unconditional surrender. But it may be too late. Attached was a black box file from a ship destroyed in the Lyros belt. The aftermath of an Earth assault. No gunfire. No screaming. Just silence. A small Terran craft had landed on a Dominion battleship during a ceasefire inspection, releasing a bioagent into its air systems. Not virus, not plague, but something that made you see. Within 30 seconds, every Dominion soldier was hallucinating. Most collapsed, screaming. Some clawed out their eyes. A few shot themselves before the visions took hold. Earth never fired a bullet. The Dominion had built an empire on fear and control. Now Earth wielded fear better than anyone. I walked the halls of Retribution 1 afterward, unable to shake it. Passing a lab with a glass wall, I saw scientists bent over a weapon unlike anything I knew, its core pulsing with alien energy. Behind it, a phrase carved in Terran English. "We are not the monsters. We are what monsters fear." I no longer knew what I was, observer, traitor, survivor. Only that the galaxy had provoked the wrong species too many times. Now it bled. The core worlds, once called untouchable, were the Dominion's pride. jeweled planets ringed by asteroid belts, fortress stars forged from collapsed suns. Civilizations millennia old thrived there, billions sheltered by peace bought in silence and blood. No war had touched them in over 3,000 years until Earth came. It started with static. Dominion comms went dark, one relay station, then another. No blasts, no debris, just silence, and then deep void across every channel. The Council didn't panic at first. They thought it sabotage, internal revolt, pirates maybe. But Earth knew how to send a message. The first undeniable sign came on Chiros Prime, the Inner Dominion's capital. No weapons fired. Instead, every screen blazed with a message in Terran Standard. We are not negotiating. You had your chance. This is not conquest. This is consequence. Then the city lights went dark. Power failed. Gravity fluctuated. The artificial climate systems collapsed. By the time Dominion engineers tried to respond, they discovered the horrifying truth. Earth had been there for years. Microscopic satellites, no larger than grains of sand, had been drifting unnoticed through Dominion territories, bypassing filtration grids, embedding themselves in power grids, data hubs, and infrastructure. Every sensor, every surveillance node, every communications relay, compromised. Earth hadn't just arrived, they'd been watching all along. They knew where officers slept, where their offspring studied, where hidden escape vessels were stored, where defenses were blind, where deep code shutdown protocols lay dormant. Kiers Prime never had a chance. No bombs fell, no troops landed. Earth collapsed the planet from the inside. From the ops deck of Retribution 1, I watched a skyline fold like paper, mag lines erupting into fire, and the heavens rip open as overstrained atmosphere generators failed. Death toll, 2.8 million. No warning, no survivors. Even I, Kyle Draven, once proud Dominion PsyOps analyst, felt a cold weight that would not leave. This was not war, it was surgical erasure. Colonel. Vale stood beside me, gaze fixed, unblinking. They thought Earth's strength was in its numbers, he said. I asked, then what is it? He waited, then replied, we don't forget, and we don't forgive. The next target, Vine 7, a diplomatic hub for treaties, alliances, and neutral arbitration, neutral in every way but one. After Ganymede, Dominion prisoner transports had passed through Vine space. Earth had begged for intervention, sanctuary. The High Tribunal refused, citing neutrality. Their silence doomed thousands. Earth answered in kind. This time, retribution. One stayed back. The ship Judgment Dawn took the lead. Smaller, faster, lightly armored, not built for battle, but for broadcast. From orbit, its deep penetration sonar made the planet sing itself apart. Buildings didn't detonate. They shook into rubble. Supersonic tones triggered seizures. Harmonic collapse leveled cities. Brains burst from within. All streamed live. Earth didn't look away, and made certain no one else could either. Between waves of ruin, a message flashed to every tuned system. You could have stopped it. You didn't. Now your neutrality won't shield you. The galactic order cracked. The Dominion's millennia-old rule by fear met something worse, righteous fury. Powers once loyal drew fleets home. Border colonies rose in revolt, demanding restitution or severing ties entirely. Trade networks collapsed in hours. No one wanted Earth's gaze next. And still, Earth issued no manifestos, no alliances, only crossed names off their list. On Retribution 1, I began to notice the crew changing. They weren't weary or reluctant, but something hollow was growing in them. Reyes, a quiet comms officer, once nodded to me in the corridor. I asked how he was holding up. His sunken eyes met mine. It doesn't feel like winning, he said. It feels like burying ghosts. Later that day, he shot himself in the mess hall. No one spoke during the cleanup. They didn't have to. That night I replayed old Dominion intel, Ganymede's last moments, over and over. Concealed testimonies from whistleblowers painted a picture beyond cruelty. It was revolting. Executions broadcast live for the pleasure of Dominion elites. Children handed over as test subjects to secret science divisions. Earth's pleas for help had been met with a public display of indifference from the Dominion. One recording still haunts me. A girl no older than 9 clutching her brother as Dominion soldiers dragged him away. She kept screaming, "Please, he's all I have left." The feed cut out, and I understood why Colonel Vale no longer mentioned peace. By the week's end, another core world collapsed, Zthara, proud enough to call itself the voice of order. Earth silenced it in just 6 hours, without firing a weapon. Instead, they unleashed memory. Every channel on the planet was overridden with raw testimonies, Earth's survivors from Ganymede, Europa, and the slaughtered convoys. Women weeping, men screaming, children whispering of the cold stars they saw while drifting alone. Zthara's people turned on their leaders. Riots tore through the streets. Government halls fell. Earth hadn't needed a single shot. They just reminded them what apathy had cost. Colonel Vale watched the chaos unfold from the bridge. "This isn't justice anymore?" I murmured. "No," he replied. "Then what is it?" His voice was steady. "Balance?" I understood then. Earth didn't want to replace the Dominion. They wanted the scales to finally even, after centuries of bleeding. And if that meant burning every system that once looked away, so be it. A day later, a transmission arrived from the Dominion Council, the first in weeks. "We surrender unconditionally. Please stop." The bridge fell silent. All eyes turned to Vale. He stared for a long moment before replying. "We heard you." Then he cut the feed. Earth wasn't ready for apologies, not until every ghost was at rest. They'd surrendered completely, but Earth didn't stop. I stood on Retribution 1's bridge when the Council's next message came, stammering diplomats and terrified bureaucrats, begging for mercy they'd never given. They even used the word please. Vale watched in silence. I thought I saw a flicker of conflict in his eyes, but it vanished instantly. He nodded to the comms officer and the message was erased, deleted, not archived. Earth no longer cared about words. They cared about the dead, and they weren't done burying them. That cycle, our heading changed. The new target wasn't a military hub, a core world, or even on the war room's hit lists. It was worse. Personal. Theta Vault 9. Its existence was a secret, hidden under a rogue moon, shielded by gravitational warps and decoy satellites. But Earth had found it, one of the Dominion's most guarded black sites, where they hid not just secrets, but the people they wanted erased. And Ganymede's last children had been taken there. New records from Zthara's command revealed 12 missing Ganymede children, captured alive in the colony purge, sent to Theta Vault 9 for long-term intelligence value. Translation: experiments. This time, Vale gave no speech. None was needed. We dropped out of hyperspace 3 million kilometers from the vault. No approach, no warning. A new weapon emerged from Retribution 1's belly, a small, silent, black sphere drifting toward the moon. On contact, it didn't explode. It whispered. A pulse rippled out, unseen, erasing every Dominion system it touched. Firewalls collapsed. Defense turrets turned inward. Artificial gravity inverted for 8 seconds, crushing everything unsecured. 30 minutes later, we landed. I was permitted to join the boarding team. Maybe they thought I was past flinching. Maybe they wanted me to keep watching, that this was my slow punishment. The corridors of Theta The corridors of Theta Vault 9 were drowned in shadow and smoke. The air reeked of scorched oil and rotting flesh. We stepped over the fallen guards, their faces frozen in masks of terror and agony, limbs twisted at unnatural angles. Some had bitten through their own tongues, others had torn at their own skin. "Neural inversion field," a Terran officer remarked, scrambling the brain's fear centers until survival instincts devoured themselves. His voice carried no pity, no disgust, just data. The first child's body lay in a glass cell, small, frail, wrapped in synthetic blankets, eyes wide and vacant. Beside him, a wall covered in crayon scrawls, planets, stars, and a tall woman with Earth's military crest on her chest. A mother figure, maybe someone who had promised to return. She never did. Colonel Vale stood in the doorway, fists clenched, so tight his knuckles blanched. His jaw trembled, but he stayed silent. Room by room, it unfolded. 9 of the 12 children confirmed dead. Their records lay nearby. Autopsies, experiment logs, some stamped non-viable. The remaining 3 were tag transferred to Project Ashglass. Destination: Arkan's Wake, an abandoned planetary shell buried deep in the neutron star's gravity well, declared uninhabitable decades ago. Earth was already plotting the course. Vale turned to his second, Captain Nia Rowland. "Launch Black. Spear protocol." She nodded once. Full force. All of it. Black Spear was more than a mission. It was judgment made flesh. Earth's most elite, bio-enhanced, cyber-linked, trained from birth. Not relics of old wars, but a purpose-forged breed built for vengeance. That night in my quarters, I stared at the blank walls, my hands shaking. Earth wasn't punishing anymore. They were hunting. Not for surrender, but to cut the rot out. They moved through the Dominion like a surgeon with a blade and a grudge. By the next day, Theta Vault 9 was nothing but ruin. No salvage, no survivors. The moon was imploded, its core destabilized, crushing the facility under a tidal collapse of rock and boiling gas. Erased. The message was unmistakable. If you harm our children, we will find you. If you touch them, we will end you. From orbit, I watched the moon fracture, its core glowing with internal plasma. I thought of the girl, in the recording, clinging to her brother, begging for help no one gave. I didn't know if she lived, but I knew this. Someone in Earth's command still remembered her name. I began to doubt what I was becoming. Once I'd valued logic, detached analysis, studying war, politics, psychology from a safe remove. Now I couldn't look away from the vengeance around me. Worse, I didn't want to. There was a grim satisfaction in Earth's justice, even when it came drowned in blood. That terrified me. I wasn't an observer anymore. I was a witness. Soon I knew I'd be a participant, choice or no. I had thought Earth's wrath spent. Arkan's Wake proved me wrong. The place was a dead rock, gravity warped, gutted by radiation, abandoned by any sane species. No colonies, no stations, just a jagged corpse drifting near the event horizon. But the Dominion had hidden something there, Project Ashglass. That was where the last 3 Ganymede children had been taken. We still didn't know its nature. Theta Vault 9's files were shattered, scrambled by retreating Dominion hands. Even Earth's AIs couldn't fully restore them, but fragments. Bled through, psychogenic integration trial, zero consent, biofusion, weapon class potential. They weren't studying the children anymore. They were turning them into tools. We entered Arkan's system blind. The neutron star's radiation. The neutron star's radiation choked long-range scans, forcing Earth's fleet back to old-school methods, manual sweeps, thermal hunts, signal ghosts. They adapted instantly. They always did. That was what made them terrifying. I was in the war room when Retribution 1 found the target. It wasn't on the surface. It was buried, miles deep, locked in cooled iron layers, and masked by artificial gravity to hide from every sensor. Built for one purpose, to never be found. Earth found it anyway. They didn't storm it. They sent me. Vale called it a gesture of truth. You were one of them, he said. Maybe they'll talk. I should have refused, should have laughed at the suicide run. But the colder, sharper part of me, the part turning into them, nodded. They gave me a plain black suit, pressurized, unarmed. Just a short-range comm and a pulse tracker. You're not alone, Vale added. We're riding your signal. You go dark, we crack the planet. Comforting. I was dropped through a tunnel bored by an orbital cannon straight into the crust above the facility. Silence. Not empty. Waiting. Lights flickered. The air was dry, chemical, tinged with burnt circuits. Every step echoed in my helmet. Any one of them could trigger something lethal. Then I saw the first figure, human once. Suspended in a fluid-filled tube, skin fused to circuitry, eyes replaced by red optics. Chest split open around something pulsing, half organic, half machine. Nameplate still on. Dr. Celian Marek, Dominion Genetic Division. Dead, not by Earth, but torn apart from inside by his own creation. I pressed on. The scale grew, an underground sprawl of labs, cells, and glass-walled observation bays. Then I heard it. A voice, small, young. Who are you? I froze. It came again, softer. Are you another test? No, I said, trying to steady my tone. I'm Kale. I came with the humans. They're here to take you out. Silence. Then, too late. I followed the voice into a control room with shattered consoles and one unbroken stasis pod. Inside stood a girl, maybe 10. Pale hair, jagged cut, eyes faintly glowing blue. She didn't blink. No restraints, but her stillness felt like armor. I remember you, she said. My blood iced. You don't, I whispered. I remember. Your kind. You watched. When they took us. When they listened to nothing. She touched the pod wall. It rippled like water. Are you here to die? No. I'm here to take you home. Where is that? She asked. I had no answer. The air chilled. Lights dimmed. 2 more stepped from the shadows. An older boy, maybe 15, shirtless, scarred, circuitry glowing along his spine. A mute girl, eyes black, hands bound in metal bands that writhed like snakes. All 3 had the same calm fury, not rage, not hate, just emptiness. We remember everything, the boy said. He stepped closer. When they starved us, when they bled us into jars, when they made us fight to see what broke first, bone or will. I didn't do this, I said. No, he replied. But you let it happen. He raised a hand. The walls screamed, not in sound but in nerve and memory. I collapsed, clutching my helmet. And I understood. They weren't children. They weren't human. They were something else. Earth hadn't come to save them. They'd come to witness. The girl, Elia, I would later learn, placed her hand on my chest. You're scared. I couldn't speak. Good. She turned to the wall, whispered, We're ready. The pod dissolved into vapor. Every alarm howled. Vale's voice cut through my comm, sharp. Kale, bioenergy spikes everywhere. Do you need evac? No, I whispered. They're not enemies. Then what the hell are they? I rose slowly. Victims, I said. And something more. Vale hesitated. We're pulling you out anyway. They're too dangerous. No, I replied. Vale, they're coming with me. He said nothing, but 20 minutes later, when I emerged to the surface, the dropship was waiting. No guns. No guards. just silence. The three followed me aboard without a word. As we lifted away, I glanced back at the scarred moon that had been her cage, and in a voice too soft for vengeance, too calm for hate, she said, "They thought we were weapons, but we're memories, and now the galaxy will remember us." Back on Retribution 1, Colonel Vale waited. He studied them, quiet, but radiating something heavy. "Are they stable?" I shook my head. "They're not meant to be." "But they're not threats," he said. "Not threats," I corrected. "Witnesses, and if the Dominion thought Earth's fury was bad before..." I nodded toward them. "They have no idea what's coming. They didn't cry. They didn't sleep. They spoke rarely." Aya, the younger girl with eyes like frozen stars, sat in silence, staring from the viewports, as if she saw a different galaxy than we did. Her expression never changed. Not sadness, not rage, just detachment, like she'd already watched it all burn and was waiting for the ashes to fall. The older boy, Arik, stayed in the training bay. Not because he needed training. Earth's finest couldn't touch him. One soldier tried during a sparring drill. Arik didn't move. The man's spine simply folded, clean and silent. The medic said it was like gravity itself had collapsed, for a second, focused entirely on that one point. Mira, the mute girl, was the strangest. She roamed the ship barefoot, shadowed by two drones unlike any Earth design. When an engineer tried to inspect one, it liquefied in his palm and reformed behind his back 10 seconds later. She smiled once then, only once. The rest of the time, she drifted like a ghost. The crew tried to carry on, orders issued, missions planned, but they kept their distance. The tension wasn't fear of the children, not exactly. It was fear of what they meant. Proof Earth's rage had come too late. We hadn't saved them. We'd only found what remained. 3 cycles after Arkin's wake, Vale called a high-level council. Commanders from across Earth's fleets appeared in HoloLink, faces drawn tight. Screens bristled with tactical feeds from the galactic front. The Dominion wasn't resisting. It was unraveling. Core worlds gone dark. Military posts self-destructing. One admiral surrendered, then blew his own command ship mid-broadcast as if confessing through fire. Earth hadn't demanded it. The war was no longer war, it was collapse. And Earth. Earth was deciding what would follow. I sat in the back, silent, as Vale stood before the table, the 3 children behind him like shadows. "They did everything we feared," Vale began. "The Dominion lied, tortured, killed, and buried truth beneath centuries of peace, and we gave them the chance to make it right." He motioned toward Aliyah, Mira, and Arik. This is what they chose instead. Silence followed. Admiral Russo leaned forward. "Your move? We've crushed their war machine. Their command is broken. Push further, and we risk uniting the rest of the galaxy against us." Vale's gaze didn't waver. "Then let them unite." A younger officer from Arctic Division spoke next. "You're suggesting we fight everyone else?" "No," Vale replied. "I'm suggesting we remind them what silence costs." The words cut the air like a blade. I thought to warn him, but she spoke first. "If you burn too long," her voice was steady, deliberate, "you become the fire." Hands clasped, posture far too measured for her years. "I don't want revenge anymore, we've had that. But if you turn into them, if you shatter worlds on suspicion, you'll just make more of us." She glanced at Mira, perched on the table's edge, legs swaying, black eyes unblinking. "More orphans, more ghosts, more monsters from locked rooms." No one replied. Vale's jaw flexed, then he faced me. "Kale, you've seen enough. Say something worth hearing." I rose. The weight of every gaze dried my throat, but I spoke. "Earth won. Not just the battles. We won the truth. The galaxy saw everything. The betrayals, the agony, the records, the confessions. We've been righteous in our fury. I paused. But now's the trial. Can we lead with that fury and stay righteous? Russo nodded. Because they're watching now. Power like this draws eyes. The silent empires, they're afraid. Vale studied the strategic display, scrolling through neutral states, trade nexuses, comm networks. His finger stopped. Talvaros, he said, a neutral trade giant, untouched in the war, yet enriched by Dominion law fueling their war engine. They profited from blood. Now they'll come offering peace. Then take it, I told him, but not at gunpoint. His eyes hardened. They feasted while our children screamed. And we make sure no child screams again, Aaliyah murmured. I hadn't thought Vale would listen, but he did. Retribution 1 set course for Talos, not destruction, dialogue. That night I found Arik in the observation deck, staring at the husk of a dead star system turning in the black. I don't sleep anymore, he said. I thought you didn't. Need to. Not for my body, but when I do, I remember. He faced me. They made me fight my brother. I refused, so they said he'd die slow. His eyes dropped to his hands.